I'm going to speak for about 5-10 minutes to set the stage, and I'm going to hand it over to Ionut, and he's going to show you the whole thing in gory detail. So it's going to be a fun session. So we're going to be talking about Oracle Business Network, which is not new exactly. We've been doing this for some time with OTM, but it's sort of coming into its own right now. And we thought we'll talk about it and encourage you guys to start adopting it because we see a lot of momentum here. So this gets into this whole issue of carrier connectivity. And as you know, with OTM, that's the long pole, if you will, on any implementation. How do I connect all my carriers? And as you can see some of those numbers there, the number of carriers out there is incredibly huge. And for us to connect, obviously no single system, no single network will cover all these carriers. And especially there's a long tail here. There are some big ones, but there are many tiny ones. So, how do you do this? And, also the landscape changes all the time. Carriers go out of business, new carriers come into business. There are no standards on how to connect to them. Some of them are not even IT savvy enough to connect. So it's a big deal. And there's a lot of cost tied to all of this stuff. So our solution to this is actually something that we've borrowed from the procurement space. So Oracle Business Network is actually a very mature solution that has been used for many, many years in the procurement space and is used by Oracle customers to connect to suppliers, to their vendors. And the same concept applies very much to logistics and carriers. So essentially what it is a network, a single network that connects to all the Oracle applications and now to OTM and GTM, right? And it's already connected to several other Oracle applications. So every shipper, every customer that has OTM now is already connected to OBN because we have connected OTM to OBN. So right now, all of you guys who have OTM are actually connected to OBN already. And if you think about it from a carrier's perspective, right? So imagine you are that carrier. If you create one connection once to OBN, you will now be connected to every OTM customer out there, including all future OTM customers. Right? So it's very powerful. So it's sort of a build once and reuse as many times kind of system. Right? And it works both ways. If a new carrier comes on and they connect to OBN, every existing OTM shipper is connected to that carrier now. Right? So that's how it works. And as this scales up, as more carriers and more shippers connect to the network, there is that network effect that takes place because every carrier that comes on, every shipper is connected to them. Every shipper that comes on, every carrier sees that shipper and can transact with that shipper. So it quickly multiplies. It's just starting up, right? We just started this and a few shippers have started, a few carriers are on. So it's still new, but we think this is a good way to solve at least part of your carrier connectivity issues. We'll talk about how and what in the next few slides here. The big message on this slide is no cost at all. So Oracle doesn't charge you, we don't charge the carrier, it's completely free, which is a big deal obviously, so nothing beats free. All right, so if you've used OTM, you know OTM has many ways to connect to a carrier. So we have several different approaches on how you can connect to a carrier. You can obviously connect through many of our connectivity partners, and Many of our connectivity partners have carrier networks. They're already connected to OTM. When you sign up on OTM, you can sign up with one of our connectivity partners. They know how to connect to your OTM. They'll walk you through and establish that connectivity. Obviously, you can connect through the traditional EDI methodologies. There are several things within our application that you can use to connect to your carriers. One of the things that we're adding in there is OBN. And the next slide, I think, explains it a little better, at least in my view, in terms of sort of when to use what. Because you have all of these methodologies to connect to your carriers, but when should you, what's the best way to deploy this? So in our view, it's sort of a multi-pronged problem. There's not one solution to the carrier connectivity problem because there are different types of carriers. If you have very small carriers, mom and pop carriers, not IT savvy, probably the easiest way is have them log into our portal or use our mobile app and do their business. They don't really need any fancy stuff, right? If you have sort of that mid-tier level of carriers where they are large outfits, they're IT savvy, but you have, quite a few of them, maybe several hundred of them, maybe use a carrier connectivity partner, for example. Or you can even use OBN if you need to. But for the high volume guys, where you're doing a lot of transactions with them, and of course EDI is expensive, right? So if you're doing a lot of transactions with them, this price could be high too. And these are your core carriers. These are your top 20 carriers that you're transacting with on a regular basis. A significant portion of your business is running through them. They are ideal for you to run through OBN. To get them onboarded to OBN, they do it once, and you will be connected to them through OBN at no cost at all, right? So that's the sweet spot, I would think, for OBN. So it's not that it solves all of your problems, but I think it goes a long way to solving the important bits of your problem. Did that make sense to everyone? All right. Now, from a carrier's perspective, and it's not just a carrier, so the other point I want to make here is we're also talking to partners. So we have, maybe it's P44, maybe it's Trimble, Transporion, maybe it's Connection. There are several partners that, like I showed on my earlier slide, that sort of complete the OTM story, if you will. A partner can also connect to OBN. And the nice thing for a carrier or a partner is one connection to OBN once then means that they are now connected to every OTM customer out there. So it's a huge channel for them, if you will, right? They may not be contracted for their service with that customer, but they are connected to that customer, making that contracting process easier. There is no impediment to turn them on. So there's a big value there. And again, like I said, it's all free. So what do we support in terms of transactions on OBN today? So when I say OTM is connected to OBN, what does that actually mean? So what we've done so far is we have really covered the truckload connections that you have with your carrier. When you connect to a truckload carrier, you're typically doing these things with them. You're rating your shipment against their rates. You're tendering to them. You're getting a tender accept from them. You can potentially do settlement. You can get an invoice back that you settled in OTM. And of course, very important, tracking events, right? So all of that is available now. And Ionut will show you some of that stuff in action in a bit. We'd like to do more too. So expand it beyond the truckload mode to other modes also. That's the heavy lift basically. This stuff is not so heavy once we have that in place. So that's available now. Our job right now is to see how customers uptake it. If this is a viable solution and customers like it and bring their carriers on, we want to invest more in it and make it easier. Okay? But of course, if nobody wants it, then we don't want to keep investing in it and building on it. So So it's all up to you guys, is what I'm saying. So it's a chicken and egg problem. Yeah, but remember that so the way it is configured, it is not hard for you to maintain your ocean connectivity with your carrier right now and turn on OBN for your truckload transmissions to them, if they do both. Yeah, right? So from their perspective, it's going to be an API. From your perspective, it's going to be seamless for you from out of OTM. Because, and we'll talk about it to show you, the connection to OBN is already built out. You don't really need to do too much additional work. Your current connections with Ocean, you can continue maintaining that. But we can talk more. But it is a bit of a chicken of an egg. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, and we do see, another common objection from customers is, well, I'm already connected to my carrier. I have my carriers. I'm already transacting with them. I know this is free, but why do I need to do this? It's already running, right? That's another objection we hear. All that is great, but this is only going to work if customers invest in it, right? We can't afford to be building things out that people don't use. So at the end of the day, we need adoption for any of our features before we invest more and more into it. So hopefully we will get new customers who have not established this carrier connectivity and are bringing those carriers on, and hopefully at some point we will cover all of your modes for that carrier, and you can bring that carrier on if need be. But I would also encourage you to think about that you can do multiple connections out of OTM, some via OBN, some direct, if need be, without much trouble, and you'll see it when Ionut shows you. All right, there is a long roadmap of stuff we would like to get done. I won't touch upon all of that, but we talked about modes. We want to do more easier self-service onboarding. At present, the carrier onboarding process does take a little hand-holding, and we in Oracle will work with your major carriers. If you're early shippers coming to OBN, we will help you get your carriers onboarded, but that's going to become soon very self-service, where the carrier themselves can easily onboard themselves to. Indeed, we're looking at, the OBN team is looking at AI-enabled onboarding, because one of the common issues for a carrier is, this is the OTM transaction, this is my definition of the transaction, how do I do that mapping? There's some work there. Well, we have an AI-driven approach where the AI can actually help establish that mapping and create that transaction. So that's pretty exciting, and it's not very hard to understand, right? OTM has a spec that's well-defined. The carrier has a spec that's well-defined. A human is going to read the two specs and connect the two. An AI can easily do that too. Right? And it'll probably get you at least 90% of the way there. Maybe there are a few things you need to tweak. So there's a lot of good stuff that we would like to get done. And indeed, even beyond OTM, GTM is looking at the same technology for customs brokers and connecting customs brokers up for their transactions. So there's a lot of potential here. All right, I will now leave you with Ionut to show you the actual process, and I'll come back at the end if there are questions for me.
Thank you very much. So, almost 0 o'clock, no? So, nice to end the day with a demonstration. Yeah, just to look with the prior slide, what I will go through from a demonstration perspective will be a tender request. We'll get back a tender response, and also we will have a look how some tracking events can be ingested with the use of Oracle Business Network. Okay. Prior to digging into the system, I know that everyone is waiting to see the system, yeah? So I have one more slide that we'll go into. Yeah, so I just put up this slide to show off the steps here that are to be done today. And we will have a look from a shipper's perspective, yeah? That would be you, yeah? So first part would be to, let's say, to register as an OBN customers into OBN. Yeah, so in the landing page, we will see, let's say that you can register already, a step that we are looking to automate it, yeah, within the product. Once you get on the platform, so the administrator approves the request, then there are some steps that needs to be performed. So you need to set up the messaging. So meaning, okay, I will transact the JSON, I will transact an API, and of course there is the carrier network effect, yes, as the carrier, the service provider will join, etc., and other shippers. But in order to communicate, there will need to be a handshake, yes. So you will have a trading partner request, yeah, and then they will accept it, and you will be able to transact with him, yeah. From an OTM perspective, I would say, yeah, so it's around 15 minutes of setup nowadays, yeah. It's just setting up an external system, yeah, taking the details from the OBN platform. Then we will need to set up, let's say at the runtime, we will need to set up the flows that we will need to transact. For now, listed here are rate codes, yeah, asynchronous rate posting, tender request and response, tracking events, yeah, shipment status. Also, we have the capability to receive invoices through OBN. Yeah. Within the platform, and we will see in a minute, yeah, there is also a transaction monitor where we can monitor exactly how the messages are passing, are processed, yeah, in case of what if we want to see more details, yeah. Then, of course, after all these steps, we will review a bit the production setup. We do our testing, and at the switch of a key, yeah, we can start, yeah. Okay, so now I will flip between windows, yeah. So what we will see now, I will start with the Oracle Business Network platform, yeah. So I will log in, prior of logging in, yeah, so you have on the landing page for Oracle Business Network, you have the possibility to register yourself as an Oracle customer, yeah, as a shipper, or if you are a trading partner, you can also come here and register on the platform. Yeah. So then on the step, once you got approved on the platform, I will comment now. Again, this is a shipper's perspective. And I forgot to mention that, okay, this is a, let's say, one-time setup. Usually the planners, the users will not log in into OBN, yeah, so they will transact from OTN. Yeah. So when I logged in, we have access to a transaction monitor. For now, I will go to the next step, but we will come back once we transact to see how they look like. And I'm going to go on the messaging area. Yeah. Within the messaging area, we need to set up first, let's say, we need to do the transaction setup. And here we have two, I would say, two different parts. We need to configure, let's say, how do we, and I'll take it from bottom to top, how we can receive in OTM, yeah, documents, yeah, from the trading partners, yeah. And here actually we can set up, let's say, the formats that OTM can ingest. Yeah, for example, on tender response, we will receive a JSON, shipment status is a JSON, rate code, it's an XML at this time. Yeah. On the top part, it's how can our trading partners send documents how can I send from OTM towards my trading partners. And for now, we can see here a rate code request, yeah, and a tender request. What is important to mention here is that, for example, on the tender request or the rate code, yeah, we can set up, for example, in the rate request, we can send a tender request in a JSON format or an API format. So we have the flexibility to set up the format per carrier. So we have the granularity to set the format per carrier. Maybe one will receive the message in the JSON format, others in API. So we have these capabilities. Another section is, and I should have started with the delivery method. Yeah, so here actually we will take and we will set up the details needed in order, and I will start again with sending data from OTN towards the OBN. Yeah, and from here, from this page, actually, we can take the details needed to set up nowadays the external system into OTN. Yeah, so the connection it's using the Open Authentication 2.0, so that is based on a token. Yeah, with client ID, client secret. We have all the details here. We have a token service, and we have document delivery URL from OTN. The thing that I need to mention now, this is the global platform of OBN. We have a production mode, we have a test mode. Yeah, if we are sending the messages in a test mode, yeah, we will end up in the carriers to test instance. Of course, once we test, we can migrate immediately within the production phase. Yeah. So bear in mind and keep these details here because I will show how they are linking also with OTN. Then, if I want to receive from OTN data, yeah, again, we noticing, let's say, the document types we can receive, and I will simply submit on the tender response. And here we will need to provide let's say, the business action REST API that we saw earlier. So within the REST API guides, we have this business action. So for example, for tender, yeah, we are accessing the request, the resource for accepting the client tender. Yeah, so it's pretty much straightforward. We are going to use here for specifying using basic authentication, but of course, open authentication 2.0 more suitable for this case. Yeah. So this is actually the setup that I need to do in OBN. Now we talked about, let's say, the partners list, how we can transact with partners. We have a section here. It's called partners. As Srini already mentioned, we are working already a bit with some carriers. We are doing tests also with partners. So we have a list of my trading partners. Yes, so I established a connection with my trading partners. What is also important to know is that each of the trading partners has a unique OBN ID on the platform. Yeah. And this is important because within the OTN setup for our service providers, we will need to provide, let's say, the OBN ID. Yeah, so that we know that will be used to route the message from one part to the other. And I forgot to mention, as I have an OTN shipper, also I have an OBN ID. Yeah, so it's on the top. It's one of our demonstration points. Okay, what happens if I want to add a new trading partner? Yeah, we have a section on which we can find new trading partners, yeah, that are on the network, and maybe I would like to transact. Yeah, so we have a possibility to do a search, and let me type in here your rate. I'll keep a search, and I can find it within my trading partners your rate. So here I can check out if I already have a discussion with OBN. I validate, so I can perform an action. Yeah, so I want to send a trading partner request to UberFreight. Okay? So when I click on the plus, I need to provide the trading LIS here that actually will map with the service provider within OTN. And so I can put some domain name here and how I want to call it within OTN. So a bit of mapping with the carrier within OTN. On the bottom part, I can see the business documents, let's say the transactions that Uber in this case already configured and it's able to accept. Yeah? So we see that they can do rate codes, yeah, they can receive tender requests, yeah, also can send tender response. What you see here is shipment status that wasn't configured yet by your freight because it's a new functionality that will be delivered, I guess, in 6 days or say at maximum time limit. So once I search and I have a look on the formats and different documents, I can click on the add request. Yeah, so now if I go to my pending request and I do an inquiry on the relationship request submitted, yeah, I have the list of all my trading requests, yeah, that I send out. The corresponding contact email will receive a notification, it will accept. So once it will accept the request, it will get into the my trading partner, so I'm able already to transact. Yeah, in a normal use case, we establish a test. Yeah, if it's okay, then we can move to production. Yeah, and now after we have the first look within OBN, I will go into OTM. Yeah, so the project hopefully I'm not going down. Yeah, so what I set up for today, it's an tender workbench, a very pretty simple workbench. Hopefully it's visible. On the top panel, I have a list of shipments already created in different statuses. I noticed that I have two shipments already for what are not tendered yet. Prior of tendering, let's make the link with OBN. So we set up these two carriers. You have to communicate via OBN, yeah, the tender message. So if we have a link on Aurora, from a setup perspective, yeah, we notice two reference numbers that are needed in order to, let's say, for the tender message to know how to be routed. So it's the OBN receiver ID. So it's an OBN ID that we saw earlier within the system. And the ID type that actually it's network ID in this case. Yeah. If I go a bit further into the details on the communication tab, I'll go into the daily mode. Within the communication remarks, we set up a communication method as REST, and we are pinpointing to our OBN instances. Yeah. And if you recall, in the delivery methods, we have there all the details in terms of client credentials, so the authentication type is client credential. We are pinpointing to the token service, yeah, using this. Sorry. Okay, of course. Yeah. Hopefully it's visible now. Okay. So we are using open authentication. We are pinpointing to the token authorization service, and we are having the URL for sending the tokens. Yeah. So pretty simple and straightforward in setting up the external system. All the information needed is within OBN. Yeah. Okay, I will close this page. Similarly, here as an example, my other carrier has another OBN ID. Yeah. So now I'm ready to, let's say, send the tender request. Yeah. So I'll perform an action. So, okay. It was completed. Yeah, going back. So now we are in the, let's say, in a status of secure resources tender. So we are waiting for response. Yeah. Going back into OBN. So I will switch again the window. Remember that in the home page we have the transaction manager, and let's see how that information flew in. So let me pinpoint to our date today. Filter, and I will click on search. Oh, okay. And we can notice that at 1629, yes, so it's a UTC. Suppose, yeah, within OBN, two documents were received. There one for Aurora, one for Aurora. So we have here a control number in which we can see actually what happened behind the scenes. Yeah. So I'll take it from the header. So the document was received successfully. Yeah, it's in a test mode at this point. We have the information of the sender. Yeah, so that's our OTM demo box. and we have the information of the receiver, yeah, where the message was allowed. The document is a tender request, yeah, success, success. We have the formats in which from OPM departed as an XML to our URL received as a JSON. Yeah, again, JSON and API is supported in terms of formats. Our authentication method, and on the bottom part, we can see actually how the information flows. So the sender, the OPM box, sent information to OBN. So it was received. Then it was a step where OBN processed the data, yeah, and changed it into a standard format, a JSON format that the query can accept it. So we have a process step. And then we have a delivery step. Yeah, so OBN routed the message and it was successfully received. Yeah. So similarly also for every stopper. So we set up for the demo to receive an acceptance, one decline for the tender, and usually we should pass in 1 minute. So I'll go to see also within the transaction monitor if I have some incoming messages here. So I just changed to received, and we see that 1629 we had to answer. So again, I will take our error. This time, yeah, what was changed is the sender, is the carrier, our trading partner, from this ID towards our OTM box. Then the response instead of tender request, yeah. Transmission was successfully, authentication method, formats, and again, the carrier sent the data to OTM, it was received successfully, it was processed in an OTM format, yeah, and it was delivered successfully. I'll close this page and go back to OTM, yeah. So also our workbench refreshed meanwhile, so Aurora tender was accepted and the store mark was declined, yeah. We can notice within the system. So that actually what I demonstrated now, it's a classical tender request response and showing how the information will look into. What I will do now next, it's trying to log some shipment events, so it's pretty much out of the press, yeah, so it will come soon, but I already have access to the testing instance. So within the list of my shipments, I already have let's say another shipment that let's say it's in a status of security sources accepted, so the carrier knows, but on route it's not started. Yeah? So let's start to receive some events for this carrier. And here I will ask you a bit for patience because I need to copy paste some EIs here. So I'll make use of a little tool, yeah, that I connected to that. So first message, copy here, and go back here, paste it here, and I'll just send the EI. What I'm able to see here as a payload response, it was 200 rupees, so my demo will work. So I'm very happy for that. And we are able to see also within the received message that the control number that appears also in the OBN platform. Yeah. So I already sent one message. If I go back into OTM, just refresh the shipment line. Yeah. The first message within the bottom part, we can see how events are starting to pour in. We have an actual pickup, yeah, and that's set up for, let's say, our en route status here for the shipment. So, as I'm starting to execute the shipment, yeah, the carrier can, say, send 214 CVIs here to pinpoint where is it and report events. So, I will take another event, so I have another two, and this time I'll do it one by one. Yeah, so, okay. Send. Okay, let's go back to OPM. It's cool. So now I'm getting some XX here, so one route to delivery location. So we can receive EDIs along the way. So if I go here, I can point on the map, we can also pinpoint on the position here based on the events that we receive. And as a last step, I'm going to go back into OBN. So if I just do a refresh within our transaction monitor here, we can see, let's say, the three events that I just said. And and we have also here, for example, the control number. Again, now the business document is status. We received it from another which contains valid period that we set up on the platform. Information was sent to here. It was, let's see, processed in terms of mapping, and it was successfully sent to here. And that actually concludes the demo. Yes, so I'm very happy that everything went really well. It's a premiere in terms of tracking events. Yes, so pretty happy. So I guess now we still have 8 minutes till 0 o'clock. So we are happy to take some questions.